Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Purple Breakdown. I am your host, Alex, and I'm so glad to be back on another episode on this fine Thursday. It's beautiful outside. Sorry if you hear me cough a little. I am a little sick. Got it from work, but I'm doing pretty all right now. I hope everyone is surviving any other sicknesses going around. I know the flu is ripping through everywhere right now, but that's not what we're here to do today. We're here to talk about the Ravens, and today we are doing a mock draft. Now, I'm going to do a mock draft about once a week, and we're going to do 5 rounds today. We're going to do it on the Ravens. We're not doing any trades. We're doing it on a medium speed. Now, I will say these mock drafts very heavily depend on the upcoming free agency. And I said yesterday that Linderbaum rejected a contract offer, and lots of this contract issues and the contract extension with Lamar is going to determine how free agency operates. And so I'm interested to see how this continues panning out before the March 11th date and free agency actually opens up, and hopefully this all gets solved before then. And then free agency will really determine which way the draft goes and what strengths the Ravens were able to add on. But we're doing this as if it's right now, just what the Ravens need right now, which I'm going to say is wide receiver, guard, and defensive line, and then a little extra depth at cornerback and safety, depending on how many safeties get brought back. So we're going to go ahead and enter the draft. We're doing 5 rounds, and we're going to start the draft. Already Mendoza's a no-brainer off the board all the time right off the bat. All right, so we are here, and on the board we got Peter Woods, Cassius Howell, and Keldrick Falk. I am still, as everyone knows, the biggest fan of Peter Woods. I think the Ravens really need more help on the interior defensive to help out Travis Jones. And if Madubuike is back or not, it'll still help having further depth there on the defensive line. And I have much higher praise upside on players, and it's harder to get a high upside defensive lineman, in my belief, than it is to get a very well and serviceable guard, because that's what the Ravens need, is a serviceable and well-serviceable guard. But you need massive impact on the defense, and I think Peter Woods will be the one that will bring that around. So in the first round, we're going to take Peter Woods. Then we're going to keep going on to the next pick. Oh, quarterback win. I saw Steelers took a quarterback at this mock draft. Ooh. As this keeps going, when this is done and gets back around to the Ravens, I'm going to go up because I think I saw a quarterback go. We took Peter Woods. Steelers took Ty Simpson in this one. Ooh. That's, that right there is an interesting pick to me. But the Steelers are going to need it if Aaron Rodgers doesn't come back. That's such a... The AFC is open to the Ravens right now. It really is open to the Ravens because the other teams have major flaws on them right now. And the Ravens should be able to capitalize on this. Now, this is where I still get here, and when we get to this position, he's gone. He went to the Texans, and the Texans really do need help at guard, too. But if Prenon makes it here, I really like that. And then where is he? There he went to the Saints, Zion Young. Either one of those are what I hope falls to the Ravens, Zion Young or Prenon. But neither of them fell, so you gotta make the best out of a situation. And I look at LT Overton, and I'll be real honest. Like, yeah, is he 278, 6'5", and he's had good years. I do not like him as much. I don't like LT Overton as much. I think it wouldn't pan out too well, and this is where I look down at Chase, and there's Romelio Height, who out of Texas Tech. I know you may be saying, well, it's Big 12 football, and yeah, I understand it's no, not Big 12, different division, different conference, but I look at this and I'm just like, he had such a great grade, and he did play decent teams. I do really like Romelio Height. But then there's Keith Abney, and this would be good help on the cornerback, and you could be adding a depth cornerback piece, especially if Marlon Humphrey goes. This is needed, taking cornerback, and adding a safety in there too wouldn't hurt. But if you bring back, say bare minimum, you bring back Alohi Gilman. You know, you have Malachi Starks and Alohi Gilman back there, and if you bring in somebody during free agency who's cheap, you may not be looking towards safety as much in this draft, especially because you still have Kyle Hamilton that can play back there. So at this position, it really to me is: do the Ravens take Keith Abney, or do they take? I prefer Romelio Height in this situation, especially over LT Overton. They need guard help, which is the problem. But Mike Green already has a really high pass rush and not as good run defense. Oh, this is a tough choice. But I think, honestly, I'm going to go Keith Abney the second right here and take cornerback, especially if we go forward as what I said and just cutting or trading Marlowe out. Then with Marlon Humphrey gone, you need cornerback assistance in there. I know you have TJ Tampa and you have Nate Wiggins, but you need a third depth piece there that will help continue. And he could be that right there. Now we're here in the third round. All right. In the third round, this is where I normally take wide receiver. And to me, it's between Zachariah Branch, who is 180, 5'10", but has shown the ability to twist and contort his bodies in so many ways and make contested catches. I mean, his contested catch rate is 62.5%, which is insanity. And he's done it against some good defenses, which is why I like that so much. But he's undersized. Versus Malachi Fields down here, who's out of Notre Dame. And yes, you'll be saying, well, Notre Dame, and I mean, he is a contested catch, more deep looking down the field, but he's larger. He's 6'4", 222. He's your possession guy. And it's the question, do the Ravens want a possession guy, or do you want Zachariah Branch? And honestly, this is where, if Zachariah Branch wasn't here, I'd be going Malachi Fields, and I feel like he would fit really well in as a possession receiver. And then you take Zachariah Branch, and this is just adding more weapons for Lamar to work with. And like, I think they may very well pick up a wide receiver in free agency. This is where if you pick up George Pickens, you can sort of take wide receiver off the board. You don't need wide receiver as much then. You may draft one later on just to add depth. But I don't want to see Marquise Brown or Tyreek Hill or those other wide receivers like that brought in, because one, Tyreek Hill is older, has had his injuries, but two, they're older players that used to rely on their speed to break away and create route running and that what. And we already have Zay, who is there, who is speedy and shifty and already fulfills that role. And so I'd rather take a contested catch down the field guy and Zachariah Branch right here. Now we wait again. And so what we still really need here is we still need an edge and we still need a guard is what we're looking at coming up now. But we're going to see who is coming up. All right. So we got Jalen Farmer out of Kentucky at guard that we could take. I don't really want another defensive. Oh. All right. So people are going to harp on me for this with Western Michigan. But Tucker here. I watch the MAC all the time. because I went to Miami University and I love the Miami program and the football that they've done there, even though they've lost in the MAC twice in 2 years in a row in the MAC tournament, MAC championship, which frustrates me to all extent. But part of the reason why we lost is because of this man right here, Tucker, and how good of a player he is. And I know you may be saying, well, it's MACtion, they're not that good. Well, the MAC can still throw out really well-rounded and good players all the time. And this man gets after the quarterback like nobody's business. I mean, 41 hurry-ups this year, 14 sacks, 6 quarterback hits. This man gets after them consistently and all the freaking time. I mean, look at his final game in the championship tournament for the MAC, an 89.1 grade all over. This man's insane. And honestly, I think the upside on him is really worth it. And so I'm taking edge with Tucker right there. That adds so much depth right there to the edge defenders and what you can push to get done with them. And I know some people may be saying, well, there was others in there like a guard that you could have taken, but I think he's worth it all the way for the Ravens. All right. We made it all the way here to round 5, pick 14. And now, look, we still have only going through round 5, remember. We still have picks 152, 160, 172, and 173. And this is what always impresses me about the Ravens so much, so often, is how much draft capital the Ravens are always able to get. And I look at this in the Ravens. They did beautifully. They did so beautifully and getting 11 picks this year again. And so there's lots of draft capital to work with and to operate out of. And now we're down here at 152. Let's see. I like Max Ewan as an edge rusher purely based after his dynamics to get after the quarterback, but he's not what is needed right here. So you got to look at other positions. They're not going cornerback. After we already took one high up, we don't need another cornerback. This is where it gets harder. I will say it definitely gets a lot harder when you get right here. There's Kobe Baines. See, the sad thing is, I think the guy I normally really like, I think, went a little while earlier. Let's see. Yeah, DJ Campbell went right here to the Raiders. I really like DJ Campbell in later rounds. But you're not going to get him after you're up here and you took edge. You got to hope that he falls down all the way to 152. And sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. So instead you're here and you got to be looking, and I don't really like the wide receiver, but the Ravens always operate out of like what is the best that falls to them. And so you got to be looking and thinking, what would the Ravens want with what falls to them here? And it's not going to be Cade. They don't need quarterback. That's just a no. They don't need one. Honestly, sitting here, I think go another wide receiver, and we're gonna take Lance here. I like his contested catch rate. It's another threat down the field for the Ravens and something else to add in. And the tight ends are used so often and there's more short formations. All right, now we're back and just pick 160, so we're back again. And this is where I may look guard here with Reed Adams. Armaj Reed Adams. Jump. And add somebody else at edge. Okay, this is hard. Because we're up again in 12 picks. And I really do like Caden Curry, but I don't think he sits around. So we're actually going to draft Caden Curry right here, right now. Great on both run and getting after the quarterback. And then we're going to take, if there's a guard left here, which there's not, we're going to go and we're going to take Tanner Koziel, who's a great tight end. And then to end it off, and this is assuming that Kevin Zeitler was brought in. This is a draft assuming Kevin Zeitler, another great guard, was brought in to help fill up that hole. And we're going to actually go Caleb Proctor to finish it all off and add one more depth piece at the defensive interior. Draft grade, and I'm sure it's going to... Oh, no, it actually gave me new suggestions. It gave an overall draft grade of A-. It does not like Tanner Koziel right here, but I really like Tanner, and I think with Isaiah Likely and Charlie Kolar possibly walking, this is a great pickup that you could do right here. And I know I went a little forward on these, but I think the combination of these two edges is going to add lots of depth, and then you have two defensive linemen that just add more depth. So you've worked on the trenches, you've added two weapons for wide receivers, and then this just made sense with adding one extra depth piece for cornerback, and especially if Marlowe's gone. So this is relying on hopefully that you pick up a guard maybe in one of the 2 rounds after, and then get a high upside guard in free agency. And that's more what this draft is looking at finishing right here. So I'm going to stop there, and we will do another mock draft next week. This is just another example one of the route that the Ravens could be looking, and you can tell me what changes you would make, what else you would like to see in this, and so on. But that is all I have for you today. I'd like to thank you all so much for joining in. Again, sorry about my voice. I'm a little sick right now. That's also why it's a little bit of a shorter video. Otherwise, I'd normally do another. Feeling the best right now, and I want to get this video out. But I'd like to thank you all so much for joining in and jumping on. If you have any other thoughts on the draft and what could be changed, I'd love to hear them. If you enjoy the content on our YouTube, please subscribe, like, comment. Again, I am always going to reiterate it. Please comment. It makes my day. It makes me smile. I love responding to all your comments. It's a really enjoyable part of doing these videos and talking to Ravens and what they can continue doing going forward. If you're on Spotify, leave a review, follow, leave a comment. Thank you all so much for joining in and listening. I promise I'll feel better here soon. I'd like to thank you all again. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.